Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. My microphone sounds off. I think the audio connection coming out of my Blue is going. I think I just need to get a new mic. The New York Fed is beginning another repo operation. By the way, we have in Discord, I posted the link to this, but oh man, why does it sound so? It needs to be louder. I don't know what the deal here is. Maybe I should check the volume. Anyways, in Discord, we've got a good comment on Reddit that I found with a theory about all of that I would highly recommend checking out. But the gist of it is that the reason why there is a shortage of dollars in the market is because all of the Europeans are buying them up. They're borrowing money in Europe and they are buying assets in the United States. And in order to do that, they have to hold some dollars to hedge themselves. And yeah, that's why there's not enough dollars out there. That was his thing. Good morning, Ron. Oh, by the way, I forgot to turn on the text to speech thing. Oh, and they're selling it. I mean, we'll try it. We'll try it. So where is we need to pull up the calendar here. Okay, so we got Canadian retail sales, but other than that, it's no news Friday. So gotta be careful here. Taking this one at the beginning is actually maybe even a little bit, but I found that I do get a little bit better of a trade on the open. So we'll try it. Anyways, I made some modifications to our text to speech robot. So that should be fun to test out today as well. Although I don't get, obviously, so I made my own little interface for it, so if I did click this.
YouTube, wrong ZH, hi.
Right? And I can turn it on and off, and I can click the ones that I didn't read. Pretty cool. And it reads subsequent messages now. So that whole thing where, like, if two people said something right at the same time, we fix that. So, but it's not quite as good as this interface, right? As I can see how many people.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, shorting the low of the day, ballsy. Live or demo?
No, that one's demo. I'm not trading any of my treasury trades live for the time being until I've worked out some of these flops. Like yesterday, for instance. I mean, look, like I made like what 250, and then yesterday, or I gave back like a quarter of it, or something like that, right? And then there was a ton of trades to get there. So I'm still having a hard time telling when I should be taking the signals and when I should not. But you know what, Kevin? Shorting the low of the day is not that ballsy, to be honest. Especially if you're getting the right place and things like that. And the reason is because typically there is some kind of a level break setup or a target. In this case, this target at 11 that tends to just go through. And so you can put it on, and then if they don't go for it, you just get out. So it's practically a risk-free trade. Risk-free one tick, it's really not that risky of a trade. And part of it depends on the environment too, right? So we've had some environments where they just like to go through, like we've had lately. Before that, we had an environment where they never went through, and it was really frustrating. So see that right there, the 5-year ticked up. We just get out. Might still go, but it didn't do the setup the way that I wanted. So
YouTube, IQ, no reports today, a few wankers talking.
yep.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, I guess it depends on the market. On CL or S you can get whipped really fast. Had the pleasure grinning face.
Okay, so it read IQ before it read Kevin. Why did it do that? Did I? That's kind of weird. Maybe we'll figure out. Maybe I'm not taking things off of the queue correctly. Because I didn't. I've tested it with like longer messages, but I didn't test it with like two different longer messages. So maybe I'm taking first in, first out. In fact, I think that might be what's happening. On CL or ES, you can get whipped around really fast.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, the robot woman works in mysterious ways. Hail Powell.
Okay, so see it ticked up. We were short what, 12.5? Yep. See? I'm telling you, risk-free trade. If you play it right. The problem with that trade is that you go short and then you're like, well, it didn't do it, but it could. It might still do it. And then you wait, and then it's like 130. Okay, well, but 130 is not very strongly bid yet. I could hold on to it maybe. And then by the time 13.5 goes bid, then you're just like, okay, now I'm down 2 ticks. Um, what am I gonna do? Okay, so now I'm down 2 ticks. I can try getting filled at 13.5. Okay, let's try getting filled at 13.5. 320 have gone, and I'm 500 in line. Uh, and then it's gonna tick up again. Watch. I know how this one usually works. And that will go at least to there.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, is a BTC chart new? Or did I just always ignore it?
So it's always been there, but I usually minimize it so you can see the ES. But we pull it up at least once a day. Now it looks very different, right? Look at that. So it's been moving a lot. And sure enough, it was another dump, pump, blah, blah, blah sort of a thing. Although it took 2 to get it back out there. This kind of pattern here that they're doing where they'll go and below 10K and then push again just reeks of manipulation to me. And
YouTube, IQ, my trade idea L at 12 or S at 30 ZB in between I leave alone for the first hour.
okay. 12 to 30. Well, I never went in and showed you guys these charts over here, but maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that. If we come over here, make this big. In the 10-year, we're a little bit lower from yesterday. There does still appear to be maybe some sell pressure, but they didn't go that last time. We might be pulling back and then we could go again. It was 14.5 was the critical level, and they definitely went through that one. So Here it is in the E-mini. There was a good little boost at the end of the day that came back off. We could go either way this morning. I actually think there might be a good opportunity in the ES just based off of that, because we got this spot down here at 3,000 that they might want to go retrace back to. So there's 14 half. Now what I want to see here around this area, uh, I suspect that they will push into 15 just to screw with us. But I kind of want to see like a lack of interest, so that at 14 half it's not a lack of
YouTube,
interest, right?
Wimmer Kevin. Well, it's just a range, I would say, in Bitcoin. CL, for example, is always bouncing tilde $51 since June.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing that makes me say that it could be manipulation, or that it appears to be manipulation, is they will, when they're left to their own devices, okay, when it's actually trading, they trade above 10,000. Okay. And then this huge sell will come out of nowhere and then almost immediately retrace every time. So they know that 10,000 is a key level for people, and they're stopping people out below that level. But then after the manipulator is gone, it doesn't do anything. It's just kind of going along there. So it seems to me like there's some manipulators probably trying to stop out longs here, but they can't actually get the market to buy it up for them. And they might have to just resort to printing a bunch more money to make it happen. But the problem with that is, every day that they wait is less time, because sooner or later the law is going to catch up to them. Coinbase is exploring even more coins that I haven't heard of before. I'm like the thing.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin. CL chart is new tough. What a boring overnight.
Yeah. Well, there was a decent move there around midnight, 2 o'clock. I don't know. They're still moving. They're still moving. I think that you're just.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin. Just compare it to yesterday London session.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I think that what's happened is you've become spoiled, Kevin. We've been having these amazing moves in oil, and now that you get an overnight swing up and down of let's see here, 40 to 90. So you get a good 50-cent swing, and it's just kind of yawn. Because it
YouTube
was moving a
IQ,
dollar before
next
that.
TGT area 16 ZB.
This looks like it's going to continue. But there was a gap there.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin. I am a spoiled little brat. I know, grinning face, but that's why I trade oil.
Yeah, this is kind of suggesting higher, guys. I thought we would get up here and they would kind of be like tired, but that doesn't appear to be what's happening. And I'm getting the 5
YouTube,
years still
Wimmer
pushing.
Kevin. I want 140T like yesterday, not this slow 50T.
And that's like $1,000 on a contract, right? It's crazy. Crazy amounts. You be careful with that because then you start getting like, oh, it's not going as much. Dang, I didn't get filled. That sucks. 166 in line. Well, I don't think I can just buy into 16 at the moment as much as I would like to chase it. There's too much. I'm seeing the 5 year just push too much, and that's too much of a chance that it's going to flip. I see here. I'm just looking at the Bitfinex feed about Bitcoin, and this guy says 5 million tethers issued 4.5 hours ago. Coinbase considering listing Telegram and Polkadot cryptocurrencies. I don't know. I'm concerned, guys. I I'm I'm just letting you know. I had cash sitting on Coinbase waiting for the sell opportunity, and what I'm seeing over there kind of concerns me a little bit, and so I took it out because I am concerned that any that that if it actually happens, that not even Coinbase will be safe. That's why I did it. So yeah, yeah, we'll do something else with it fun though.
YouTube, Algo Lover, GM Winking Face TGIF. YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, is NT working fine for you? Always had crashing issues and memory leaks, so I switched to Sierra. It may look like a thing in a museum, but it sure is stable.
So Ninja Trader certainly had some problems at the beginning when Ninja Trader 8. Um, they've made significant improvements to the stability of it over the past, I would say about 9 months ago, maybe even further back than that. But they released around the time that they released the order flow tools. They had some significant improvements. So the only time that I ever have problems is when I'm messing around with stuff, like setting up new indicators and adding and removing stuff. But otherwise, pretty stable. Haven't messed around with Sierra charts all that much, but one of the main things that drives me to Ninja Trader is it's just so much easier to um, it's just so much easier to program with because you get C sharp, so you can do all these interfacings and
YouTube, Algo Lover, left this for you last night, down finger.
yeah, you see that.
YouTube, Algo Lover, 8:14 p.m. ZN. If they are still bid when you come into the market, then find an entry to go with into a potential 130 target. Of course, if they break down overnight, this will be invalidated. Okay, hand.
Yeah. So when I came in, I saw them potentially going for 11, and I took one of those as she goes trades, and it didn't go, and I took it off, and I'm watching it here. And then when we were at 15, I was like, well, that looks like continuation, but I didn't get filled. At the moment, they look a little done. I think that they're probably going to come back and retest, and they might not be able, if they do retest, I'm thinking they might not be able to make it past 14.5.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, yeah, I would have preferred to stay with NT8, but it crashed several times while I was in a
Yeah,
trade and that was a no-go.
it was a long time
Over
ago.
1 year ago though.
You know, the thing with Ninja Trader 8 was I never had any problems if I only did their stuff. But it was like there was some things in their programming language that seemed to be broken or something. I don't know. Am I loud enough? Because I'm just looking at the microphone and I'm like, it doesn't look as loud today. Filters. I could maybe up it at dB. Let's do that. Anyways, and I myself don't sound as loud. I'm wondering if my microphone is going. Yeah, this looks like I think.
YouTube,
Hmm.
Wimmer Kevin, sound is fine emo.
Well, now that I increase it at dB, does it better, worse? You might just have to adjust your volume on the video. Um, yeah, maybe. I think that my next purchase, I always give myself one thing. Like, it's not like I'm poor or anything like that, but I'm like super. I only want to spend
YouTube,
things.
Wimmer Kevin, honestly no
No
difference for
difference.
me grinning face.
There you go. I only want to spend money on assets. You know, I hate having like to fix this car. Oh my gosh, the car thing is so terrible. I'll tell you guys about that later. I don't want to think about the car right now. Um, and some of these things are assets, but some of these things are just kind of nice to have. So like the next purchase I want is I want to get a monitor stand because these three monitors take a lot of space on this desk. And if I had a stand, then I would have tons of room to do things. Um, and then after that, I think that I might get a new microphone. I was thinking maybe I could just get a stand that would just put it up a little bit higher, you know? But I don't know, guys. Because they make like Blue makes this boom stand, you know? So I could put it right here. There would be like something right here. Be like this. So you would probably see the microphone.
YouTube, Algo Lover, ZN as long as they are bid above
That's the microphone.
129, 105, then the 130 target remains valid. Okay hand.
130. You mean the 130 even? Yes, I got you. So it would be like right here. But then if I have a boom that comes over the screen, then it's blocking the screen. So then I have to put it like maybe over here. Can it make it all the way over to that screen? I'd have to. Oh, I have the measuring tape. How far is that? How far is that? That's 3 feet. That's 3 feet. I think that that's not far enough. Let me consult. Oh, Blue has such a nice website. That's not, that wasn't what I wanted to click on. Specs.
YouTube, Algo Lover, 7:39 p.m. Algo Lover, S. If sellers hold this bounce below 3017.50, then 3000.50 target. If 3017.50 breaks, then anticipate squeeze higher. Nerd face still valid now, for what it's
Yeah.
worth.
So if I put it to the side, I don't think that I can get it to come all the way over here without blocking my view of the screen. So I think that I just need to get a stand that's just a little higher. Maybe when I do all that, maybe I'll just get like a whole new. I don't know. I have that tractor, and I can put a regular mic into that, and I have a good mic for that, but I haven't. Uh, I've never been able to get enough volume out of that for some reason.
YouTube, Algo Lover, gotta run, HAGD. Thumbs up.
Hmm. You still say that ES is a sell, huh? I mean, that's kind of was my feeling. So I can see it. Just to keep in mind here, the reason why I didn't take a long again was because it was starting to push here in the 5 year, and after a long run like that, that's going to be a turn that's going to come back. Wall Street Journal, Washington Wire, Kamala Harris faults Elizabeth Warren's fundraising. Republican advisors appear to lose Democratic advisors in Israel's election. Oh, yeah. And Donald Trump is making fun of Mayor de Blasio pulling out of the race. We should update. You know what we haven't been doing a very good job at is updating our news. There we go. There's some news. Not that I think that you guys read it or pay attention to it, but I think it's just like flavor. Like when we're watching this video back again, we'll be like, okay, what was happening that day? What were the headlines? And we can just see at the bottom of the screen. Ah, okay, that's what was going on. Hannity, I was happy that whistleblower complaint was about Ukraine. Okay. That's also an interesting one. I don't know if that's going to affect us or not, but it could. So I will just share my quick opinion. I don't know if a ethics violation was made or if that will go anywhere. If it does, you just kind of got to go with what happens, regardless of if you supported them or not. But my take at the moment is that there really must have been some dirt out there for them to grab from Ukraine if they're so concerned about it. Just saying, guys. German climate deal totals 54 billion euros through 2023. Yeah, I think I should just get a stand that's just. I bet you I could probably get one of those for like $20. Let's look. Let us consult Amazon. Well, this still sits at 16.5. Well, I could probably still get one of these ones with the long boom arm. I could also get one of these. These are like $20. See, if I had the one with the boom arm, I could probably get it a little bit closer. And how close could I get? I could get it to there. That would put me right here all the time. Sound wonderful all the time. Sexy, deep, bassy voice because my mouth is so close to the microphone. Which would mean I wouldn't necessarily need the deluxe weighted bass, just the weighted bass. So there's that. But then there's also just like this on stage adjustable stand. fact, there's some for like $12.
YouTube IQ 501 at 19 big NR.
Yeah, has that been there? Yeah, that has been there for a while at 19, hasn't it? And then there's another one up at the tie of the day. Let's see if there was anything else we see interesting out there. Does look like the liquidity built up below us as we moved up in the treasuries. And there's a big old target up above us in the 5-year. Well, well, well. Well, now that it's ranging, we could maybe try taking it. Let's see. Tough choice on the microphone, but I think I should get this. So maybe later. Don't need it today, though. That's what I said. I know that you like to spend things, and so I'm like, only one a month. Already did the one I got the monitor, right? Only one a month. Hmm. And then, after we get all that stuff, then we should start saving up for better doors so that we can't hear those birds, right? Well, I'm not too happy about what it's doing at the moment. There's been some stacking and pulling at 15.5. There's an attempted uptick in the 5-year and it didn't hold. Also, E-mini's moving up a little bit. So here's where we'll see if Ace comes in here and he sees a short, then I think I want to take it. It's not quite giving me like the spot, so I have a hard time telling, but it just looks to me like that they're going to sell from the profile and everything else.
YouTube wrong ZH at Kevin. If your NT8 crash, it's your PC fault. You have to optimize the Windows.
Nah. I mean, a year ago, Ninja Trader 8 would totally crash. No question about it. It's Ninja Trader 8 was a relatively new piece of software. And it takes any piece of software, it takes them a little while to iron out the stability. That's just the way it is. As we were saying, Lucas was having trouble with Jigsaw. And they fixed some of their problems, but then he had some issues with journalytics. so I think that he's moving off.
YouTube wrong ZH. The bird sounds just perfect and fun.
I would rather have a better door because it's distracting to me. I would rather, like right now, I feel like I can just completely focus. But when it's like birds and everything, like it's just chaos and it kind of interrupts my thought process. Um, yeah. Anyways, it kind of one of the things with the software that I was hoping was going to kind of come out, but I didn't want to cover in the actual video, is that like it's not like there's a wrong answer. You know what I mean? I think we always want to sit down and say, well, this is the best piece of software, is the one that I use. Of course, everybody loves the piece of software that they use, right? But I don't think that there's like a right or a wrong answer. And a lot of it depends on what you value. So for me, one of the things that I value is I like to try new indicators, to try and find edge in them, and to develop my own. And if that's what you want to do, that was a good uptick, then NinjaTrader 8 is by far the best platform for that. If you want stability, then you can do NinjaTrader 7, or you can do Sierra charts, or you can do TT, right? If you want like the professional tools, then you do TT, but it's more expensive to get all that stuff. It's just like there's positives and minuses to all of them. If there wasn't, they wouldn't all be in the market, right? If one was clearly better than everything else, then everybody would just use that. But we have a true market going on here. So there you go. That was cool because that trade was cool because when it came up there to the 16.5 area the first time, I said, well, we can't take it because the 5-year already looks like it's overextending. Then it was a zipper. And then when we saw the zipper they started to try and push it out of the zipper. We had a pretty clear idea of which direction it wanted to go, just based off of mostly, I think, from our larger time frame indications. But you ever sit in a zipper like that forever and are like, when is it, I hate sitting in this and I don't know what's going to happen. But this one, we saw it, we took it, and it goes almost immediately. So that makes a zipper like a playable area. Okay, so a little bit of traded back into 17 now. Also curious, the bigger order in the 10-year is at 20 and not at the high of the day. And that hasn't been there this whole time. In fact, it only just
YouTube,
recently
Wimmer Kevin,
stacked.
I guess streaming helps with the boredom. Been sitting here for 6 hours and waiting for a setup in my markets. Meanwhile watching The Mentalist so I don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, I think that streaming does help with that. I think another thing that it helps with is just sometimes you got to get those chemicals going in your brain, right? Because you have a limited amount of focus, um, because you have a limited amount of chemicals in your brain. And there are certain things that you can do that increase those chemicals. For instance, if you get a winner, then you get a little bit of dopamine, and that can keep you focused. That might be part of the reason why we tend to want to um, stay in it, you know, and not get out as early, is because you're getting the positive chemicals, and so you ignore the signs. Um, but another thing that helps is talking to people, having somebody else to talk to. That gives you a little bit of norepinephrine, and it can help you focus, as long as you don't. I mean, the temptation is always to get too deep into something and stop paying attention to what's going on. um, Having the text to speech has helped with that a lot. I think that we've been doing a lot better since we've added the robot, but I digress. It helps for sure. And I hope that having you guys here and just having somebody to listen to, and you can chat back and forth and everything, is a positive thing. I think that being a part of a community can make you a better trader. Just the mere fact that you're with other people. How big is that base? 4.5 inches. Oh, that's not too small at all. It's actually would give me more room than what I have by 8. I think I should do it. Trying to make 17 go offer, and there's a stack at 16 half now. Hmm. You know, something that drives me nuts about Windows while we're talking about it? You can like rearrange the order of windows, right? But you can't rearrange like groups. See that?
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, at wrongzh. Well, I tried to reinstall NinjaTrader several times, even installed a fresh Windows, but it kept making trouble. Sometimes it worked for weeks and then crashed like 5 times a day. Got
Mm-hmm.
annoyed.
Yeah, it was because
YouTube, Ace Trades, morning.
good morning, Ace. There was a bug with their database. So like what would happen is you'd go along for too long, you had the chart up for too long, then you would get this thing where it would start crashing. And if you went in and you like cleared out all of your database folders and your cache folders and just completely started from scratch, then it would go away for a while. But they fixed that in one of the updates. That was the majority of the problems was from that. Hmm. Well, it's telling me to hang on, but okay, so there was 3,000 or so, 4,000 or so sitting at 16 and a half, and somebody decided to go for it and sell it. So let's see what they do now. Okay. They're actually buying more at 16 and a half now. Working well so far. Hmm. Call Krugman. Oh, that's easy. As long as he's in office, if and when he loses, they'll claim to have been staunch defenders of the rule of law all along.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin. Well, at least oil starts to look interesting. Us opens and they killed some overnight shorts face with tears of joy.
This comment from Krugman kind of makes me laugh. Like, listen, justice, whether or not justice happens, should have nothing to do with how upset I get about it. You know, if it's up to public opinion, then there's something wrong with your justice system, right? Because they keep telling me like I need to be upset about what Donald Trump did. It's like, okay, like when you prosecute him and you prove that he actually did something, then I can go and be upset about it. Okay, so they E-mini just popped down there a good 4 ticks really quickly. flaky. Ask at 16. 130.06. Oh, it's way up there.
YouTube Ace Trades looking at a short at 3013.50. But I am simming today.
13.15. Okay, that is. So we were saying earlier that the way that the chart looks, that we would want to get it short. So let's see if it goes through. They all but one contract there at 13.15. Okay. Okay, I took it. So this one over here, we'll just kind of have to ignore. There is another order at 15 showing up for some reason. Let's keep an eye on that. Justin Trump dismisses growing for over a highly partisan whistleblower complaint that he had inappropriate conversation with a foreign leader. It seems mighty convenient to me that this is all out in the media and everybody knows about it, right? Which maybe decreases the chance of it actually being a thing. Well, that was interesting. I'm going to get out of it. That didn't seem to be the right spot. Kind of bunch of volume out of nowhere. Alligator says, remember quad witching. Yes. It's interesting to me that in ZB you had a pretty good pullback, but not in the 10-year. And the place that they're pulling back to is the VWAP. Okay, so they hold the bid at 16.5. why repo normalized. Goldman now expects QE4 in November with a balance sheet growth of 180 billion per year and a net treasury purchases by Fed of roughly 375 billion a year over the next couple of years. And it took just 2 days of repo turmoil. And some pictures. We expect the Fed to resume balance sheet growth in November. I don't know. They could do it, but I think it's because of the low rates in Europe. I find all of this stuff with the repo concerning, especially if the theory that it's because of the carry trade with European rates, because that suggests that monetary policymakers' tools are not
Twitch,
very
big boy
effective.
game,
Hey, big boy game, thank you for tuning in. It means that that the central bank's tools aren't as effective anymore. They would have to work. They would have to coordinate together to be effective, and that could mean that if you're a country that's doing well, that you kind of get punished for it in monetary policy, right? Well, they did do a good tick up at 17, but they're not holding it. So, big boy game. If you don't understand what's going on, I will just explain really quickly here. This column right here. Oh man, where did my pen go? There it is. Okay, see this column right here? That's the price. It goes by.
Twitch, big boy game, don't KNWOWAHT you talking about, but okay.
Don't worry about it. It's
Twitch, big boy
not
game,
important.
tell me.
Not important. Not important stuff. This is the price, okay? It goes in it goes in 64ths. So like they divide it like this one right here. Look at this one first, okay? This one right here. Okay, that's the price. So 160 and 632s is what that means. If I scroll down here. Oops. If I scroll down. Okay, so you see how it's 160.00, 159.31, and then 160.00, right? So this one is divided by 32. And then for this one, we divide it by 64 by going halves. So we go 16, 16 half, 17, 17 half, 18, right? And then when we get up to 31 half, we go back to 0, okay? So that's the first thing that I think is confusing to people, right? And then this blue column are people buying. They have a limit order to buy at that price. And the red is people that have an order to sell at that price. And then these two columns in between are market orders hitting those orders. So in order for us to tick up, we would need to trade something like 1,500 contracts to buy all of the contracts that are being offered at 17, and then we would need to bid some at 17.
Twitch, big boy game, I am going to act like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's great. Good. That's the way to do it. Anyways, so what do we see right now? There's been a lot of trade has happened at 16 half. We ticked up quite aggressively. They sold it back down, but they had to sell almost 2,000 contracts to do so. So, if they tick it back up again and they hold a good bid, that could be pretty positive because that means that there are people that sold there that are going to be losing and will have to buy to get out of their positions and move us up. And that is how we do the read. Yeah. But today is Cloud Witching Day, so we might not get it. Oh yeah, in this column right here, this is how much you make at each price. Oh my gosh, why did it do that? That's your profit right there. Right. China's Xi says urges concerning parties to avoid taking actions that will escalate regional conflicts. from Xinhua newspaper, Chinese newspaper. That's like the state newspaper, right? Okay, so they were able to get it to tick up at 17 again, but somebody's selling.
YouTube Ace Trades. Of course my entry was terrible. From now on, please do the exact opposite of anything I suggest. Asterisk head in hands. Asterisk.
Well,
Twitch Big Boy Game. I am too dumb to understand.
I got out at -4, right? Now it looks like it's going. And I'm like, well, I don't think I should touch it now just because of the time, right? Like 15 minutes to make it go. I think we want to take one at 7 and then we can try again at 7:45, right? So here's the thing, big boy game, is that a lot of people think that trading is like smart people stuff, and it can certainly get complicated, but you do not have to be smart to be good at this. You do not. The things that make you good at this have much more to do with, like, are you able to stick to a plan? Do you have self-control? Are you humble?
YouTube Ace Trades. Agreed on the time.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we're on the same page because I really want to sell it right now. People that tend to be good at this I've found that the guys that I've met that are the best at this are simple people. That doesn't mean that they're dumb necessarily, but they're not, I am like, I probably think too highly of myself, is my guess. Like, I don't think that I have an above average intelligence, but I've never tested it. I would guess that because of my ADHD that I'm probably right about an average. Um, so I think that I'm just kind of average, but I think that I try to be super complicated about everything, right? Like, I write all of these indicators and have all of these complicated rules, and I like to talk about what the Fed is doing and what repos mean and trying to understand the news, and these are all things that are important to do. But
Twitch Big Boy Game. I am still brain rape.
there you go. But the actual trading part, the part that actually makes you good, those things can help, but they aren't the key skill. The key skill is just watch it and be humble, I think.
Twitch Dojo 2022. Always stress test your account. I like to play a game called What Would Happen, e.g. what would happen if the market moved 12% against me.
Yeah. Wow. What would happen if it actually moved today, right? Hmm. So they're still having trouble at 17. Not quite sure what it's going to take to move them. I see there was that at the top of the hour. Was that what Kevin was talking about? Where on the open, a bunch of people in oil got screwed? Hmm. It's clicking a lot. And I'm seeing the place that I'm seeing
YouTube Brick
stuff.
Wheelband. Do you trade YM futures ever?
I've never pulled the YM one up. So what would be the argument to trade YM instead of ES? Question. I only trade like the micro ES futures from time to time. Maybe we'll take another one here in like 20 minutes. Haven't been doing too great with it the past day or two though. And I'm kind of thinking, because it's a quad witcher day, they're going to be really constrained. Like, I don't think that we would get like a ton out of it, unfortunately. Learn to code or risk anything, says Goldman Sachs. Okay. So they ticked up again. That time they were able to hold the bid, and now 17.5 is pulling. Right? So the less sell orders there are at 17.5, the less that the buyers have to buy to tick price up, right? That's the game. But see, there's a game because the robots, they know this, and so they'll say, "Oh, look, guys, there's only 786 being offered here." Okay, they ticked it. They ticked through. Bad example. Okay, look, now 18 pulls. But now 17 half pulls. And they'll flip it back and forth until one finally goes. Well, considering how much we traded back down here and the aggressiveness with which they pushed it out there, we could potentially see a little bit of a run here, maybe to the highs. In fact, maybe even beyond that, because, geez, well, like the target for this long really is, we were saying 130 even, right? I don't think that it will get that far in our time, but we might be able to get out here and then find another swing and take it again. Seaman Senior Goldman executive. Who is it though? Marvin Chavez. Oh, I know Marty Chavez. He was my boss's boss. He is a good guy. I'm glad that he's moving up and he's the one that they're putting on Bloomberg. Because Marty was good at his job. There was a lot of other people in equities there in my space that I thought were like kind of not doing the right thing. Like the managing director at the time didn't, he kind of, we focused all on like technical debt sort of stuff and got left behind in actual performance. But Marty knows what he's doing. He was my boss's boss. And he's leaving the company. Oh, that's so sad. The one-time commodities staffer who rose to boast overseeing technology and ultimately trading is reflecting on his 26-year adventure in the industry. The short description of it is making money, capital, and risk programmable, he said in Bloomberg Television. There are certainly many kinds of manual activities that computers are just better at. Outline strengths that can help humans stay relevant, such as their relationship skills and ability to assess risks. He predicted that long-standing career dichotomies on Wall Street, like trader versus engineer, will go away. Yes, absolutely. To keep working, people will need both of those skills. Even money is going digital, a shift that goes far beyond cryptocurrencies, he said, pointing to the success of Stripe as an example of creating new ways to move funds. Chavez leaves the bank at the end of the year. He plans to focus on programmable money and spend time thinking about and investing in programmable life. Blah, 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 blah. Cool story. Glad to hear he's doing well. Merkel says Germany sticks to zero deficit spending. And then Zero Hedge tweets the picture of a social justice warrior reading. Yeah, they're probably upset over there. They would really like to see some deficit spending in Germany, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they? Those children don't want to wake up. Can you hear that? No, why? Why? Okay, so 2 ticks down like that. We might get a little pushback up, but that might be news. E-minis happy about something. Now it's sitting here.
YouTube, Martin Coppers. Hi Seth, what is that swing count indicator you use on ZB and ZN?
Oh, good question. So that one, oh, hold on a second. I gotta focus here. because I forget the name of it, but you can find it on Futures.io. I don't like the looks of this. I think that there's some news has hit the markets that we haven't heard about yet, that we're not privy to. Because we were doing really good there, and then it just came back like 3 ticks on us, and now you're getting a lot of volume back and forth here. Come on, buy it, please. Please, I want to feel. No, don't tick down. Don't tick down. Hmm. Okay, let's look at who was it? Who made it? Poncho. Yes, that's it. It was Poncho's price action swing indicator. And he has a couple of settings in it so you can determine what shows at the top of the swing. And I chose to show ticks. The reason why I show ticks is I spent an afternoon back testing Poncho's price action swing indicator, and I said, okay, every time that it draws a dot and it says that there was a swing, take a trade. And I tried every time that there's a double top or a double bottom, or like I tried like, oh my gosh, like 24 different setups that I could with his indicator, and every single one had negative edge. So do not use price action swing as an indicator of where you should get in or what direction you should be getting in, but instead use price action swing as an indication of how far it could go, which is probably why the number attracts you. It's like, oh yes, we came out 13 ticks. That's good to know. So yeah, you can download. I downloaded it from Futures.io. Might be out there somewhere else. I would hope it's. I'm trying to get everybody to like. I don't know. They were a little mean to me over there. Not a big deal, but yeah, we're kind of competitors.
YouTube, Martin Coppers, clear, thanks.
So I'm trying to get everybody into the idea of, if you want to go and put indicators out there and make them available to people, there are places that you can do it aside from futures.io. For instance, you can go to our Discord channel and we have a downloads room where people just post downloads, and there's some good stuff in there. In fact, I have an indicator. My last video, which is what is the best futures trading platform, I discuss this, but you can export levels from NinjaTrader and import them into load. Okay, yep, load them into Jigsaw here. Didn't realize that we were so close to the opening range. Oh, 17.5 was where we. Oh no, that's where we got out. 16.5 was where we got in. Maybe they will move back up, but I still think. Oh, it must have been that German. Merkel says Germany sticks to zero deficit spending. That would move us down a little bit, but is maybe not a huge deal. And here's this right here. This event that we're seeing right now is them getting out just before the evening.
YouTube, IQ, ZP close to Y open 160 to 23.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's load these over here so we can see that. Oh, doesn't I have? Oh, there's previous high 160.31. I don't have the previous. I guess I don't put the open on there. I could add that. Maybe I should add that. Levels. Okay. E-mini is trading a lot. So that was a big rush of volume. It was net buy, but it was both ways. So we might get we might get some churn here. I took 2 on that. Maybe I should just sit on my hands for a bit.
YouTube, Stickball, hi Seth.
Hey, Stick, I have you've been in here before, right? I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. It's kind of like in the fall everybody comes back. We've been getting more viewers and stuff, and it's nice. It's nice to see people. Hmm.
YouTube, Stickball, spring here.
Is it spring there? You live in Australia, that's right. Mm-mm.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, wow, approximately 25k volume at the opening minute, that's something.
Yeah. They're it's probably just because it's the witching day though, right? It could be just that. Don't know. We'll let it, do its thing here for a little bit. And then if it looks good, maybe we'll get back into the ZN trade. We didn't have to get out of that.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, I am confused, wasn't the S rollover last week? YouTube, Stickball, do you trade the spreads often? Or just outright?
The ES rollover was last week, but it's the options expiration. Do you still trade the spreads options or just outright? I've really focused on the outright. And I've changed up I wouldn't say I've changed the strategy, but I've kind of found some better ways at seeing the things that I want to see, and that's made a significant difference. I could try doing it with spreads, but honestly, the spreads haven't been moving that much this week. I guess you're getting a pretty decent move in the knob today, but that would have been hard. I don't know. I could look at it again, but right now I'm just focused on, just the tenure. I feel like that gives me the
YouTube,
best
Wimmer
edge.
Kevin, so options and futures are on separate dates?
Yeah.
If I am not mistaken, in Germany the DAX and options roll over on the same day.
Yeah. So I think that it's something like the index future options roll over on like the 15th or something like that. And then the options expiration is always on the third Friday. Right? This is the third Friday, right? Yep. Third Friday. Oops. I guess I need to just click off. There's 18. They're struggling with that price too. You might get one of these grindy moves. Like we could put an order there at 17.5. I don't think that they would fill us. It's parents upset after school upsets invite for students to attend event with Melania Trump. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. These people. It's so offensive. The First Lady of the United States is going to speak to my children. That's awful. The heck is wrong with people?
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, honestly never noticed that. So do the S move crazy on days like that?
No. No. It's so much worse, Kevin. So, I did not like what just happened there.
YouTube, Stickball, where's Bitcoin?
I have the Bitcoin chart hidden so that we can see the Vista chart.
Twitch, Dojo
There it is
2022,
right there.
S has weekly options that expire on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
There you go. So we have a quad witcher, which is where you get the weekly, the monthly, and the quarterly options all expiring at the same time. And what can happen is if somebody has a ton of really big options position at a specific price, then when it goes beyond that, they have incentive to sell and vice versa. And so what can happen is the markets get bracketed at that price and they have a very, very difficult time getting away from that price. Okay. Well, maybe we could hold one somewhere around here. Anyways, now if
Twitch, Dojo 2022, pinning.
yeah, oh yeah, that's what they call it, pinning. Is that what they call it? Now sometimes it'll be that Friday and some big piece of news comes out. Like say Donald Trump said something really mean to China today. And the the S&P 500 just like plummeted and treasuries moved up like a point. So what can happen then is you've got all of these guys with options expirations and they're losing money on it, and those options are way too big, way too big to just dump. And so they have to buy futures instead to hedge themselves against it. And so then you can get these monster moves away from the pinned price. But that's very rare. It's maybe like I mean I've never done statistics, but it's maybe like 10% of the time. So on a day like today, it tends to be pretty tight and churny, but if you do get a move, they can be huge. So that's why people always point out when it's the quad witcher. What would an Elizabeth Warren presidency mean for the markets? I applaud some of the things that she goes after, says David Nelson, but she takes and then buries it because she wants to bring in all these stakeholders.
YouTube, Ace Trades, I've got a short sitting at 3015.25.
Really? Hmm.
YouTube,
We'll
Wimmer
watch it.
Kevin, guess I will be extra careful if I decide to trade the S.
Yeah. I am seeing a lot of activity, but they don't appear to be selling yet. I don't know. I'm assuming that 17 means
YouTube,
it's
Ace
supposed to.
Trades, it was worth a point.
It was worth a point.
YouTube,
Oh, okay.
Ace Trades, need to get my mojo back.
Maybe it's just because we're taking shorts and they want to buy it up. I don't know. Well, that was a
YouTube, Stickball, do you use the CME open interest heat map? Or do you look at something else, Seth?
open interest heat map. I'll open it up from time to time. But yes, if you want to know where it's pinned at, then that's where you would go. Is you would go to the heat map and see what expiration everybody is sitting at. It's not something that I watch very carefully though. It's just kind of one of those separate things that other people look at that they've told us about that we keep an eye on from time to time and you want to be aware of. But the only thing that I'm looking for is indications of overextension and large players trying to shove the markets in a certain direction. That's what I'm primarily looking for. So when I get one of these, this histogram moves up a lot, that tends to be indicative of somebody trying to work the market. And there tends to be, after that point, there tends to be a move. So you can see here, there was some stuff, and then we had to move up. Now it doesn't tell you if it's going to move up or
YouTube,
down.
Stickball, so predatory traders?
Yeah, like predatory traders. Doesn't tell you if it's going to move up or down. It doesn't tell you if it's going to be a reversal or a continuation, although it is a reversal about 60% of the time. But it tells you that they're doing something. And when you look at the context, it very often gives you an indication. Well, like for instance, we had this move right here, right? And then it started to do stuff to shove it out. So we took a long and 16.5, and we were able to get 2 out of it. We're actually able to get more than that, but then it did all this funky business and stuff. But yeah, and it's not even necessarily just predatory traders. It's also um, that a lot of people are involved because some of these spikes, uh, as many orders as a robot can put in there, some of those just cannot reach that much. And so what it often means is that a lot of people were trying to take trades there.
YouTube, stickball, what is that indicator?
It is just something that I've made. Now, I'm thinking about putting it out there. I'd be interested to know how much you guys would be willing to pay for it, because I was thinking not a ton. I was thinking maybe like a $20 thing or something. But I was actually talking to one of the guys from Ninja Trader about what you've got to do to become a part of the ecosystem. It would be a bit of work.
YouTube, stickball, like what is it based off
Oh,
of?
it's based primarily off of the level 2. So it means that somebody was placing a lot of orders. But I have different ways of filtering it out and stuff.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, so do the bonds also have witching day today? Or only the S&P, Dow and so on?
No, it is all um, options for what is the name of that exchange? It's all the CBOE options, I think, or maybe it's all CME options. I guess it's all CME options, yes. But I think that they all have them expire on the same time, anyways.
YouTube, stickball, wouldn't bookmap just make that really easy to see on the heat map?
No. So that's a good question, Stick. So here's my Vista chart one, right? So I know that it's not quite the same as Bookmap, but it's pretty close. Okay, but what does this show me? This shows me when they're stacking and pulling. But what happens if somebody is just, has a 100 lot or something, enough that it wouldn't even change this color, you know, and they're just stacking and pulling it here, right? So like that click, you hear that clicky sound? I have it set up to alert me every time that there is a change of 400. So at 129.19 half, right here, somebody is stacking and pulling 400 as it ticks up. That's probably just a robot, but it's an indication that there are large players in the market. And you can see that today there are large players in the market. Some days it's just like super nothing. Anyways, I would like to make a version of my own version of the kind of a book map chart that would show you what I'm looking at. Because like I said, it's a change. It's like if somebody stacks and pulls it there a ton of times, then I would want it to be white, even if it was nothing special about it. And you would only see it like
YouTube, stickball, on those orders from spread traders?
it could be. I think that one at 19 half is probably just a robot looking to get a good spot in line. But sometimes they're more than that. Well, they're definitely doing some interesting stuff here in this range between 18 and 18 and a half.
YouTube, stickball, they are either a spread or algo being tested, or one part of a spread order that is being modified, not really spoof orders, too far away for the book skew to change much.
Yep. So most of them, especially when I see one that's going back and forth at the same price, I think that they put that there just so that they're in line. That's why it's like 2 or 3 prices away. Is it's some algorithm that is trying to get a spot in line before it stacks over 3,000 and they have a harder time getting filled. You know, but there could be larger orders, could be somewhere else. That stack could alert you to, um, some like when we stacked up at 20 there, when they put those on there, we heard some clicks, that sort of a thing. Mm-mm-mm-mm. But anyways, but it's more the like when I'm seeing a ton of people put orders in, because it's kind of like, think of it this way. Like we think about it volume and we like to look at what actually trades, but what would happen if we came up to a high and then a ton of people tried to put orders in, but not a lot of volume went through, and then we ticked down, right? That means that they all wanted to get out there, but nobody actually bought to fill them, and now they're all gonna bail and move lower, right? So that's the sort of situation that I'm looking for, is that I have found that the level, lots of people putting the orders into the level 2 is a better indication of if we're overextended than, like the icebergs and stuff. But it changes. Some days it just does not work. Anyways, I have thought about putting some of them out there. And I also would, I'm going to make a better version of this little tape for you guys. And we could put that up for a cheap download. Some people, they put their indicators out for tons.
YouTube, stickball, why on some days it doesn't work? Have you tried investigating that much greater than?
Well, so I have found that the days that it doesn't work tends to be the days where, large players don't really have a reason to make a move. So it'll be like, like yesterday was a good example, right? We had this big FOMC day and they all made their trades on that day. And then on Thursday, even though it did move a little bit, it kind of turned out into, well, they already did everything that they needed to. And so it didn't work so well. Hmm. They've been ticking back and forth in this range for quite some time. Quarter end repo fireworks coming overnight. GC repo at 1.95%, but 2-week team repo now at 2.7% for ICAP, capturing a quarter end repo squeeze. 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant to shut down. Oh, I don't know. The funny thing, stickball, about that is that it seems to me like, everything that I've ever looked at, when they don't work, they all don't work. It's not like I have one that like works this day and one that works this day. It's kind of, and I really think it is because if the large players don't have any reason to move, then the robots just churn it around to screw over retail players, and you're always going to lose. Because at some point during the day, you're going to be on the side that has more retail that guy's taking, and they're going to go stop you out. That's my opinion of why it does it, but we don't really know for sure. It's just a theory. But hey, it's just a theory. A trader theory.
YouTube, stickball, you could put that into a machine learning algo to try and find the pattern that makes those days different.
Could. I'm not quite sure what I would have to do that. I would need to have a lot more data for starters. Plus, I feel like that I already have a good, you know, like just looking at today, right? We had that move up off of the bottom. It sucks that when we got out of, we were going short and we got out of it, was just fine. And then it got to like here at 14.5. Okay, I said, well, they could go to 14.5 and they might go down and try and push it lower. But instead it did this thing, and that was too fast for us to do anything. So we missed this. Then we did 16.5, right? And then it did this, and we got scared out of it. It came back up, and now we're trying it again. But today is kind of one of those days. It doesn't look like it's outright failing, but the market is definitely being more difficult today for us. So we were only able to get 2 out of that, even though we had a good move up. And you can kind of see the spots where they signals came in. We're kind of like in the middle in the 30-year, and in the 10-year, it's kind of a little bit random, in fact. And the 5 keeps doing this sort of thing, where you have multiple bars with a lot of activity. Oh, yeah. So there was another rich guy on CNBC yesterday. He said if Elizabeth Warren wins, they won't open the stock market. Can you believe? It's the next day after an Elizabeth Warren election, and they're like, well, we're not going to open stocks because we know that it would be bad, that people will sell, so we're not going to open it so they can't sell. I remember during the financial crisis, people speculating that that would happen, but it never did. U.S. pension funds to sell 17 billion in domestic stocks in month re-end balance, says Credit Suisse.
YouTube, Wimmer Kevin, what is your opinion on her 2 cents rich tax? YouTube, Stickball, it's simpler than you think. Tell it the days when all of your strategies don't work, and the days they do work. Then feed it all the data/indicators that you look at in said strategies.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was saying I think I would need more data, because like there's like days where it doesn't work, and then there's days where like you just didn't trade well, right? So you would have to have really meticulous records. So it depends on which tax you're talking about, but her wealth tax is a really bad idea. And the reason that why I would be extremely opposed to a wealth tax is that rich people, this money is not like sitting under a bed somewhere or something like that, right? They, it's all held in stocks and in bonds. So her plan, it is essentially, okay, like let's think about an economy for a second, okay? Right? There's this mistaken idea that like, okay, if I go to the store and I buy something, I helped the economy. I helped grow the economy. No. You helped the economy, but you didn't help grow the economy. What you did when you buy something is you're just transferring different kinds of wealth, right? You're taking money and you're transferring it for a good that is worth a certain amount. Most of the time, that good that you buy is something that is not an asset, and so it depreciates and it is consumed, it is taken out of the economy and does not result in growth, right? But if you went out and you bought something, like you used that money.
YouTube, Stickball, moderately rich people have access to better, more economical investments that are not accessible to the public.
Exactly. So if you take that money and you go out and you buy something that allows you to make more money, okay, then all of a sudden you are growing the economy. Okay. So what rich people do is they take their money and they invest it in companies, and they let the companies use that money to grow their businesses, to go and buy a new store or to invest it in new technology. And that's why investment improves growth, because investment is put into assets eventually. Okay. So what Elizabeth Warren is proposing to do is she's going to tax wealth, which means that they're going to sell stocks, and then she's going to turn around and, well, what are some of the things that she's going to put it into? Well, she's going to put it into healthcare and all of these other things. So essentially, they're going to consume it. Now, if the healthcare system worked really, really well and it put less
YouTube
pressure,
Ace Trades at Stickball, for example.
they put more pressure on, or sorry, less pressure on everyday people. Like we didn't have to pay healthcare bills all the time, for instance, right? Then that might free us up, regular people, to make more investments. And then maybe we could put in assets, and maybe, just maybe, the assets that we go out and buy end up being more growth positive than what the rich people would buy. And, maybe that could help. But generally speaking, the market is the best determinant of where the growth is going to happen, right? Like people, just regular everyday people. I mean, you can tell, right? Trading is effing hard. Trading is really hard. Okay. And most people are not good at it. Most people are not good at it. And the people that are good at it are the ones that gain more money. And so the market allocates capital to the people that are good at it. It allocates capital to the people that are good at allocating capital. Now, it's unfortunate. It's not fair at all. Like, this is the problem. I was having this conversation with somebody on Reddit the other day about this. And I was saying, well, it was this exact subject. And they said, well, this isn't the growth of the economy and making more money aren't the only things that matter. It's not fair that these rich people have so much money and the other people don't. And the answer is yes, it isn't fair. But you're just admitting that the policy would hurt the economy. You're just admitting that, yeah, we will have less economic growth because wealth creators won't have as much money to work with. And you're consuming that money, right? So that's why I would not support an Elizabeth Warren style wealth tax. If Elizabeth Warren won the presidential election.
Twitch, Dojo 2022. People get too focused on process and not results.
Exactly. If she wins the election, I'm going to be there on election night selling. Absolutely no question about it. Because there's no way around it. That it hurts stocks. Without question. It hurts stocks. There's some arguments to be made that there are benefits for it in the long term, sure. But it hurts stock prices because people have to sell their stocks to pay the tax. It's worse than all of these other taxes that we're talking about because...
Twitch, Dojo 2022. It'll depend on who controls the House and Senate.
Yeah, I suppose it could. You could get an Elizabeth Warren in there with no congressional support. They can't do anything, but I still think they would sell. But it's that particular tax because it specifically is targeting stock market assets, which is where I really where I think it's a really, really bad idea, right? Now, another tax that she has proposed is, I think that one, like an extra tax on rich people healthcare costs. I don't know if that would have a huge impact on the economy. It just seems unfair to me. That is the thing that irks me about fairness. Is like, what's fair?
Twitch, Dojo 2022. Those assets are all wrapped up in 401ks, so she'd better be careful.
I was thinking the other day, I have a little story. Okay. So let's say that we're all um, stranded on an island. Okay. Like the group of us were on an island and we're stranded. And we're not going to get rescued. And so basically, at that point, we're going to start an economy. So one of you guys, you learn to climb up trees and pull coconuts down. Okay, so now we have an economy that is producing, 5 coconuts a day because that's the amount of energy that you have to go up there and pull coconuts down. All right, so that is like the gross output of our economy.
YouTube, Stickball at Ace Trades. Let's say the government taxes the rich people and they have $500 million that they are looking to invest in the economy. They cannot bother with smaller investments of approximately 1 million.
There you go. So now I'm going along and I find a stick. There aren't sticks on this island. It's all, palm trees. But I happen to find like a stick. Okay. So now that is a good.
YouTube, Stickball. Even though let's say that $1 million investment brings 50% return.
Right. Let me pause this for a second. There we go. Okay. So now we have a good. Okay. Now I can do a lot of things with that stick, right? For instance, I could loan the stick to one of you guys to pull coconuts down. So now, instead of only producing 5 coconuts, we can produce 10 coconuts per day, or whatever the number is, right? Or we could use the stick to spear fish, and we can get fish. What's happened is I've taken that stick, okay, but now because I'm using that stick, I'm using innovations with that stick. It increases the output of our economy, right? Well, what would happen if I said, well, we need a fire and I burn that stick, right? Then the stick is consumed and it no longer contributes to the size of our economy. Okay. So we would prefer that stick gets used to, help people with their businesses to make more coconuts and fish and other things. Okay. So I found the stick. I'm the only person with a stick. Is it fair that I'm the only one that has a stick? Well, if fair is equal, it's not fair, is it? It's not really fair. But so if you guys take the stick away from me, that's not fair either because that was my property. And then especially if you just take that stick and burn it, which is usually what the government does, you know? But then what would happen if I don't use the stick appropriately? And then you take it from me and you use it for something that's productive because I'm not using it for something productive. Okay. This whole question of what's fair, I think, is almost like beyond the point. Because guess what? Life's not fair. People aren't equal. They never will be. They never will be. You just can't accomplish that. And all that trying to make things fair does is um is cause injustices, essentially. You steal from people. That's not, you know? But there's kind of still this question out there, which is like, how do you allocate capital? And the answer, I think, should be one of two things. Either one, you let people own their things and they get to decide what they do with it. Or two, you have to have a organized system about how things are invested that is proven to be the most effective way to allocate capital, which we simply do not have. We simply do not have. And what we have found, getting taxed, there you go. What we have found is that if you give the money that capital and allow them to allocate it, that they tend to allocate it in ways that benefit themselves and their friends, right? If you give it to one person, he tends to do it in ways that benefits him. Like the rich, they take their capital and they help the economy, but They invest in things that help themselves the most. And so it's totally reasonable for people to come in and say, well, we regular people aren't getting the benefits of this. Sure, but what's a better way of doing it, you know? And so the solution that capitalism came upon was just people have their thing and there's a market, and if people don't spend it well, then they're going to lose it. And we can change the laws to kind of keep the markets in balance and in the best interests of people. And that's how we allocate capital, right? Yeah. So to Jojo's comment, people get too focused on process and not results. It's like they want something to happen, and so they're willing to do all of this stuff to make it happen. And they're not looking at the bigger picture, which is that we grew the aggregate size of the economy, and that's something that everybody can benefit from. It's not trickle down because that doesn't force things to trickle down. Okay. But you can't even get that money moving into the rest of the people down below if it doesn't even exist. You know? So that's my argument. Anyways, so I'm just noticing here I have this text to speech thing here, and it doesn't scroll very well. It doesn't, when new ones get put in, they get put at the bottom, and then I can't click my auto read button and stuff. I mean, I have to look at the way that this one works. Is there a way to just force it to scroll to the bottom or something? Anyways, so that is cool that I can just turn it off and on. So now if you say something, it should come back, right? Oh, wait, so there was a couple of comments that maybe we can even have read out. So I wanted to read this one.
YouTube, Stickball, the reason why it would not be economical to manage thousands of smaller investments is because a shit ton of that money would go towards management fees for the fund. The fund managers are the ones. YouTube, Stickball, getting taxed.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Another argument that somebody made to me the other day was, well, if you take that money away from the rich and then you give it to regular people and then they consume things, and then they're going to consume things, eventually that money ends up back in the stock market, right? But sure, but it's going to be less that's actually going to make it back because of inefficiency. Some people, not everybody's going to spend it wisely. Not every company's going to spend it wisely. And the more pieces that it's had to move around to get there, there's going to be a little bit lost at every step of the way just because of transaction costs. Claridia. To be very attentive to incoming data, risks to outlook, and future decisions, global economy is clearly slowing, sees disinflationary forces. Well, I took along at 18 and 17, and then they came into this 16 half. Now that they're back at 16 half, there's this huge buying again. I would prefer to be buying it there. But can I actually do that at this point? And I'm getting a little bit of an extension. I think I would prefer to let it move down a little bit and try and reverse it on its way back up at 16. So let's wait. And plus, it's like 8:09, and it's a churny day, and I'm coming out even right now.
Twitch, Dojo 2022, completely off topic, but did you hear that there is going to be an iPad OS that will include mouse support and support for USB drives? I think it releases next week.
Oh, really? Well, that would be nice. I think that we're about to see a second renaissance in portable devices. So there's this new, I think it was from Asus, a new Asus laptop, where you got this big screen and you got the keyboard, and then right below the keyboard there's another little screen. I think that, you know, most people don't need desktops anymore, is the gist of it. And so they're going to start more innovations in that space to get iPads and so forth to be able to do all the things that they need. So like you be able to use a mouse and keyboard, and then you can do all
Twitch,
the stuff.
Dojo 2022. You could have an MS Remote desktop and run it parallel.
There you go. Yeah. I tell you, when I worked at Goldman Sachs, everything was virtualized. Like my machine was actually in New York running in a server farm, and my terminal at work was just a dummy machine with a graphics card, and that was basically it. And for regular desktop use, I didn't notice any lag. Everything worked just fine. And as long as you're not playing video games or trading with it, it works great. So, like, for the vast majority of people, you know, why have a desktop? Why not just rent a machine in the cloud and then just use your iPad with a mouse and keyboard? And then you could have all of the power of your desktop anywhere that you want, right? And they're already trying to do this. Like, Apple is already trying to do this with video games, right? Didn't they? Or maybe it was Google. It was Google that's trying to do this with video games. Although I don't think the games that I play would work very well with that. But hmm. Comments on USD to be left to the Treasury. Negative yields are a symptom of very slow growth. I really think I'm just thinking here because you guys. So on interest rates. Oh look, they tick back up. Um, I believe that the curve is is kind of like a curve on both sides, which is to say that um, when you look at the amount that interest rates help the economy, you know, it's like this: low interest rates help it, high interest rates don't. But then there's a trail off right here where when they get too low, they stop helping. And I think that negative interest rates is certainly past that point. And uh, so the question then is at that point is, can we only decrease interest rates to here and then it's not useful anymore? Then what do you do? You know, like what should the Europeans be doing? I don't have an answer for that. I don't think anybody does. And it's a little scary to think about because, you know, they're basically just a little bit further along, on the fiat money sort of a train. And so I look at Europe and I'm like, okay, so 10 years from now, when we have the next financial crisis, not the one that's going to be the end of this cycle, but the end of next cycle, we're probably going to be in the same spot. Fled's Claridia, we acted decisively to address repo shocks, CNBC. Let's see if they pick up a bid here. They're still fighting at 16.5.
YouTube, B. Bowen, cut spending, lower taxes.
Well, maybe. It's an interesting point because, um, like what do we talk about? The Keynesian economics. Like the thing is government stimulus can help the economy if they put it into the right things. If they put it into the right things that produces future growth and creates more assets, then that sort of a thing can help. And so if you go into government and you reduce government spending, That's a
YouTube,
temporary
stick
shock to
Val,
the
especially
economy.
so because he is the CEO and there will be a lot of fear/risk in the market about the new CEO if they are good or not. YouTube, stick Bal. I also love how people think that rich people like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, etc. think that their net worth is made up of pure cash.
Right? Exactly.
YouTube, stick Bal. The reality is that if Jeff Bezos wanted to sell all his stock, it would definitely not sell anywhere near the inflated price it is now.
Exactly. Exactly. I like that's like it's like billions of dollars a year that he would have to sell. I wouldn't be like the end of the world on its own. It could certainly create momentum, but it would depress stock prices without question.
Twitch, Dojo 2022. Pork barrel IT projects are corporate welfare and don't produce lasting value. Don't ask me how I know.
So there was a study. I wish I could find it. I saw it on Reddit's economics.
YouTube, stick Bal. He would have to sell it privately.
Probably he'd have to do it OTC, and then whoever ended up with it, they would have to sell it probably. No, there was an economic study, and they were saying, okay, so we're having slow growth and everybody says, well, it's because of immigration and these other things. So where is it actually coming from? So they did a study to try and quantify that. And they did find that, yes, competition from other countries and immigration were contributing to slower growth and slower rising wages and all this stuff, but that it wasn't even close to one of the biggest things. So one of the biggest things was just cyclical downturns disrupting operations, like especially in the mining industry, okay, which is a very important industry. We don't consider the people that create the raw materials are very, very important to the economy, right? For instance, that's why it's so important that the US find ways of getting rare earth materials outside of China. Okay. Anyways, and one of the places that had the largest cost was in IT. That spending on IT to maintain systems was a huge drain on productivity. And I see that at my work. I think about it like, okay, we can go and make a new thing. And sometimes you can make a new thing and it can go really, really quickly. But you can spend a whole team of people can spend a year just working on a few small systems that in the larger picture of things kind of feel kind of insignificant, you know? And I look at that and I think about it and I'm like, okay, so like how much of my salary actually contributes to growth and how much of it is just maintaining systems and is actually consumption? It kind of
Twitch,
sucks to
Dojo
think about.
2022. Too many PMPs who add nothing to the effort.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the sad truth is that most software engineers don't know what they're doing. Like they're doing something that they've never done before, and especially if you're making an exciting new product, you're doing something that nobody's done, and so nobody knows what to do. And we make mistakes in how we design it, and so then you have to go back later and you have to deal with all of those mistakes. It's kind of I mean I don't want to say that there's like waste and fraud or anything. I don't mean to present it like that. It's just the nature of computers is like, yes, we've created huge productivity advancements because of it, but people don't think about the cost. Companies don't like to think about the cost. They like to pretend that those don't exist, and then when they show up, they're like, "Well, why do I have to pay for this and this?" You know, CEOs like that, right? It's kind of interesting how we've come into that zipper. It got really quiet, and now we're getting some little spikes. I think that they're going to reverse, but let's see what happens. China's 941 billion sovereign wealth fund lost 2.35% on overseas investments last year.
YouTube, stick Bal. We need more education to lower the cost of that.
Right. Well, in my opinion, programming Software development should be taught in elementary schools.
YouTube, stickball, degrees shouldn't cost that much.
You know, I am of the opinion that school is not there to make you rich. School is there to make good workers. Well, if what we're going to need in the future are computer people, then it would be extremely beneficial to the United States to integrate computer science topics earlier on into the schooling. Like, people shouldn't be learning about their first if then loop when they're 20. That is,
YouTube, stickball, it is taught in primary here, Seth.
there you go.
Twitch, Dojo 2022, give me a good full stack developer who can do mashup style development and I'll show you someone who can both save and make huge money.
So what do you mean by mashup style development? Yeah, that's something that I think that you could teach to like second graders, programming. That you could actually put them in front of a really basic kind of programming language and they could probably start doing stuff. So that by the time they're in high school, you could be teaching them about data structures instead of and software development lifecycle processes. You know, instead of teaching them about data structures in university and then doing all of the SDLC and best practices sort of stuff on the job after they've screwed it up 3 times, which is what happens today. Clarida didn't really offer anything. You would think they sent him out there for a reason, but it's tough to get you read. Talking about his interview on CNBC. And apparently the Storm Area 51 fans are setting up camp in the Nevada desert. Are they actually going to walk there?
YouTube, stickball, believe it or not, Australia's education is rated worst currently than Kazakhstan.
Really? Why is it so bad? The Australians don't seem pretty like bright people. The ones that I've met seem really bright.
YouTube, stickball, the government cut a lot of funding.
Well, yeah, the thing with education though is that it's not like money doesn't help, but it's your teaching methods are going to have more to do with it than anything, right?
Twitch, Dojo 2022, not restricted to rigid process, platforms, etc. Someone who can screen scrape, use Python, Node.js, HTML, and JavaScript, SQL.
Right.
YouTube, stickball, no, I'm talking about the children in schools today.
Yeah, I've been working, well, like the text-to-speech bot is written in Node, and I'm constantly amazed at how much power there is in that, because as a language, it's not a very good language, JavaScript, but because of the way that it handles concurrency and the way that Node in particular handles concurrency is really useful. And then when you add all of the libraries on top of that and the ability to have an application that goes through the web browser, it's so powerful. Now, that said, I'm thinking about rewriting the bot. Because I would like to have it so that when I'm talking, it won't start reading something. But I don't know. Because I would still like to have a web interface, so how do you have that sort of thing? Because you can't have... I don't think that you can have a, microphone sort of set up through a web browser. Maybe I can. Maybe I should look into that today. But I think I'm going to clean up. Well, I got some work. Can't do open source stuff today, but sometime this weekend I'm going to clean it up and update what's on GitHub there, and it should be close to a point where other people could use
stickball, the bot reads messages in the wrong order sometimes too.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. So I was just thinking the place where it didn't do it was when we were talking about government spending there, right? The reality is that if Jeff Bezos wanted to sell all his stack, it would definitely not sell anywhere near the inflated price that it is now. I also love how people think that rich people like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates think that their net worth is made up of pure cash. I think that it actually did read them in order. I think that what happens is that the text that the TTS bot, um, the Discord API only refreshes every so many seconds, and if you sent more messages than in that time frame, then they could be received out of order. I think that that's what's happening. And for some reason, the Restream API has a lower has a lower
YouTube,
polling.
stickball. It read my third message first, then the first, then the second.
Yeah. Because I think because you typed those all within 10 seconds. I think. I'd have to do it again. And well, actually, no, I can look here. So which was the one was the first one was I was still thinking up. I love how people think that rich people like Jeff Bezos think that their worth is made up of pure cash. And when I look over here, yeah. So when I look in here, I'll show you. Here it is. You can see here. Here's the
YouTube, stickball, test 2. YouTube, stickball, test 1. YouTube, stickball, test 3.
Yeah. So see here, here was the first thing that you said, and it's showing up third. But then over here, it shows up first. So it's because the text-to-speech robot received them out of order. It's not the queue. So to fix that, I would have to look at
YouTube, stickball.
app.js. Okay, finally got an uptick there.
YouTube, stickball, second test. YouTube, stickball, 1 first test. YouTube, stickball, third test.
Message connection. That's not it. Oh, no, it's right here. Client.on message. Client.on ready. That must be somewhere else. Somewhere there's probably a place for me to set what the
YouTube, stickball, it's out of order WTF.
It's out of order because I received them. Let's see here. Look, 1, 2, 3 question mark 1, 2, 3. But then I come over here. 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1.
YouTube, stickball. I sent 1 first, then the second, then the third.
Yeah. So it's this thing is receiving them out of order. Now, oh, I know what we can do. Now, if we come over into here, into the stream channel, 213231. So what the problem is, the restream bot receives them out of order. That's what's wrong. I don't know if there's a way to fix that. So here's the other issue was I originally had the API set up to go directly to YouTube, and I used all of my requests for that I'm allowed to make in a day. I used them all within like an hour. And I tried researching like how YouTube has it set up and everything, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why it had made so many requests. Because it was only supposed to be doing 1 per second. So that's what we would have to do to fix that. So my queue and everything works. It's because I'm getting
YouTube,
it through
stickball, drink some water.
Yeah. It's because the Restream bot listens to the Discord channel. Or sorry, the text-to-speech bot listens to the Discord channel. My mouth was getting pretty clicky there, wasn't it? They really don't want to let it go here, do they?
YouTube, stickball, I'm a psychic. YouTube, stickball, WTF, I sent that message before you drank from the bottle.
Yeah, well, but the stream is also like 5 seconds delayed sometimes. If you go, because sometimes just things to do with encoding and buffering and stuff, you can get delayed a little bit. So sometimes it helps to refresh the page, and then you will be a little bit further up in this, a second or two up in the stream. That was a strong move down on very little. President Trump says U.S. is making a lot of progress with China. It's probably what that was. So,
YouTube, stickball, to make it catch up.
yeah, to make it catch up.
YouTube, stickball, no, I just put it to 2x speed.
Oh, I don't know. There's lots of other things I can change. Like I can make her speak faster, and there's different voices and stuff. So because of that move down was because appears to have been because of news. You're gonna catch a lot of people short. So if they decide to continue
YouTube,
to move up,
stickball, it's reading my second message first.
yeah, it's because of
YouTube, Greg
restream.
Orlovsky, long ZB, getting annoyed.
Yeah, you're long ZB and getting annoyed. Yeah, this is frustrating. If they decide to start pushing up again, it could be an
YouTube,
aggressive
stickball,
push.
I meant the YouTube video speed to 2x.
You can actually set the YouTube video speed while it's live. How does that work? Trump says, oh, he's prepared for military action in Iran.
YouTube, stickball, yes.
Well, I still think that we have a good chance of upside, but Donald Trump talking is going to subject us to all sorts of volatility that I'm not sure I want to put up with. A tick up there at 17 is good. There is evidence, this is from LL Rain. There's evidence to support this consensus view that the repo dislocation is technical and temporary, but this shouldn't obfuscate the bigger issue.
YouTube, stickball, right-click the live stream and click Stats for Nerds. It will tell you the live latency. It is telling me 2.8 seconds.
Oh, that's cool. He continues. Liquidity risk has been systemically mispriced, underappreciated in a prolonged period of unusual central bank policies. Okay. Well, it's now 8:30. So I can probably stay until 9:30, but do I really want to keep one on for that long on a quad witching day? I could look into the YouTube thing. If I was only using Twitch, it wouldn't be a big deal, but for some reason the YouTube API doesn't give me enough calls. And I don't know why the framework that I was using was making so many calls, because it's only supposed to do 1 per second, if that. But that's why I decided to use the Discord one, because they don't put much limitation on you at all. So when I get it, it's almost instant. But if the restream bot is receiving them out of order, then there's nothing I can do.
YouTube, stickball, just scrape the data manually.
Well, that's what I mean. You mean like pull it out of a browser window or something? Maybe. One of my dogs is whining. I think that my wife put him in his kennel while she took the kids to school because it's raining. What a baby. So we did retrace that area that we got.
YouTube, stickball, yeah right a Chrome extension.
Yeah, I could look at that. That sounds like more work than I want to put into it, but I think it would be better to just figure out why the YouTube API is so crappy. Because I want to make this something that other people can use. I want to, make a video about it and say, hey, this is a really cool thing that I made, and get other streamers to come into the channel and look at the channel because of that. Suppose another thing that I could do is I could put it on the Twitch one and just read the Twitch one. I don't know. I don't know. Tim Miller, we must replace the Bill of Rights with an ordered society run by the people who oversaw a century-long pedophile ring, and to bring it to bear through the divinely chosen adulterous egomaniacal mendacity of Donald Trump. Making fun of Charles Cook, saying, Ahmari and others can dress it up as they wish, but their philosophy is ultimately just another that wishes to take over
YouTube,
the system.
stickball, Twitch forbids its partners from live streaming on other platforms.
That wishes to take over the system and impose its precepts on everybody by force if it needs to be. It's no more lofty or unsophisticated than that, and it's unacceptable. Oh, he was reinforcing what he said. This is an interesting thread, though. No, Stick, you're right. If you are a partner, which is to mean that you've reached a certain viewer threshold and you have the ability to run ads on the stream and things like that, then yes, they forbid you from streaming on other platforms. I'm nowhere close to the amount of concurrent viewers on Twitch
YouTube,
specifically.
stickball, and can you turn down the volume of your chat bot? It's literally louder than you.
Yes, I can actually. Um, that's a good point. Let's see here. Thank you for pointing that out. There's a couple of ways to do it, but I think. Oh, does it not show up down in here? Why does it show one for Epic Pen, but it doesn't show one for mine? I think within the code I can do it, but I can just change the desktop audio down like that. That's the easiest way to do it. So, anyways, I don't come anywhere close to the number of concurrent viewers that would be required to become a partner. And if I did, I would not accept becoming a partner. So, yeah.
YouTube, stickball, instead you could turn our mic up.
Well, so do you think that the mic is a little softer than it normally is? Because I'm not quite hitting full power for some reason. Maybe partly just because of the compressor. So like if I come into my filters here, so I have a compressor. I'm compressing 3-to-1. What I could do is I could decrease the ratio a little bit, so I could do 2.5. So that'll give me a little bit better peaks. And there's some other thing. I could increase the output gain
YouTube, Martin Coppers, you sound great.
I could output it another decibel, but it's kind of like just screwing around on the edge. Yeah, Martin says you sound great. I always go back and listen to it afterwards.
YouTube, stickball, yep, but now you're louder because I can turn your live stream up now because the bot is not as loud.
Gotcha. Well, I'll just keep it down there. And I think I can even come in here. Let's look around in the code. So I think that it would be in, I have to go and open up another file. I think that it is in my library, my say synthesize library here. Okay. So that's, oh, I actually do have it speaking at 1.25. And then in the say, do I have a way? Speaker out on close. No, there's something missing. Speaker out the data. There's not an option there for volume in that one. There might be an option in their API. Let's go look in the Google text to speech API.
YouTube, stickball. My volume is maxed out on your YouTube stream, and my Chrome is at 60% volume on the volume mixer.
Yeah, when I listen back to it at work, and I usually have it up all the way, the volume up. Well, I have the volume up the same place that I do for everybody else, and the volume sounds okay to me when I'm playing it back. But the whole thing is I could increase the volume on things if I need to. Everybody said that it was too quiet, but APIs and reference. Synthesize is the method. Input. Voice. Audio config.
YouTube, stickball. What are the numbers above your shoulders?
So I have that was the profit and loss for August. And then we were like, okay, we're not going to trade for this period, so we stopped changing it. And then I could probably go through it. I think it's something like 600 right now. But we don't really change it out. I should maybe just get rid of it, but I don't know. I'm kind of putting it up there with the hopes that like maybe somebody will see it and be like, wow, he's made $1,000. I want to stay here and watch, you know? Pitch, speaking rate, volume gain, dB.
YouTube, stickball, says 10,000.
Let's do -6. Yep, it says 10,000 right now. That's no. It says oh, maybe it is 10,000. I forget why I had it set to that now. I think it was supposed to be 1,109. There you go. Add a space. I don't know why I had it set to that, but anyways, but I have to edit it manually. I would like to have something like I used to show you guys this window over here. Right? Remember how I used to have it kind of sitting over here like this? But then we added the e-mini and there wasn't enough room for it, so I'm not quite sure how to stick it in there. Because it would be nice to be able to show it on this screen, but there's just, I would rather show the other stuff. Okay, so where is oh, here it is right here.
YouTube, stickball. Cut out the extra space above your head.
Yeah. I'm gonna crop the thing. How do I kill this?
YouTube, stick bell, and the things that are below your cam.
So that's another thing. Hold on a second. I'm gonna close these and reopen the bot because I made a change. Let me just move these over here. Why does it have so many connections? Okay, that is not supposed to happen. That is not supposed to happen. So there's something wrong. I have multiple sockets open to it for some reason. Okay, now if you say something again. Or I'll do something. Where is it? Stream.
Test.
So that was less loud. Was it still too loud?
YouTube, stick bell, something. YouTube, stick bell, something 2. YouTube, stick bell, something 3.
I think 6 isn't enough. Let's do
YouTube, stick bell, PLZ. YouTube, stick bell, L title less loud.
I should just have it run as node mon. Let's do that. I'm gonna close this one. I'm gonna close these. Where'd the other one go? Where'd the other one go? Ah. Oh, I already closed it. Save. Okay. I didn't like that because I need a comma. Okay, cool. All right. Now, test.
Test.
Oh, that was way not loud enough. Okay.
Test. YouTube, stick bell, test.
That's still way quiet. What if it just put it as 0? What does that do?
Test.
Oh. Oh, because it's the way that it
YouTube,
is.
stick bell, quiet.
Minus
YouTube,
1.
stick bell.
Okay. I screwed up my microphone there really quick.
Test.
How about that? I think that's a little better.
That is a lot better.
I think so. That's not as loud as me, right? It's a few dB less than me.
YouTube, stick bell, good.
Cool. So, what was it? Oh, yes. So the suggestion was this area underneath of my head is a space, but that's where the chat box is supposed to go. But for some reason, under the new version of OBS, my browser sources are not working. And I've tried a bunch of things to try and fix it. Like they said, disable um, hardware rendering on your web browser and things like that. But that doesn't seem to make any difference. So I think that there is a bug. I'm sure that they will fix it. But until then, I'm just going to leave it as an empty space. But that's what that area is for, is the chat. So I got the chat. I got the spot above my head. If I had a way, like the thing is I could put this here, right? Like I could put this here, but then you would only see like that. I don't know.
YouTube, stickball. When I watch the live stream on my phone, the chat pops up in the bottom left.
Yes. Well, because you'll see YouTube chat. So it's maybe kind of an unnecessary feature now, but oh, look at that stack at 18. The thing is, like, the 3 platforms that you watch it on, they definitely
YouTube, stickball. Honestly, just add the Discord chat to the YouTube chat.
oh yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, is it was showing me what was happening in the interest rates room, but then we're not even really, I don't even think we're actually showing that part there anymore. Oh no, wait, we are. It's just that the robot can't say stuff there. That's right. We squelched it in that channel. But I don't think that would add, I mean, but that doesn't fix the larger problem, right? The larger problem is that it makes it really hard for you to see what the running profit and loss is. So what we really should do is we should just update that number more, right? I could change it to be, what it is right now. 50, well, let's just do the E-mini one, 6250, right? That's what it's supposed to be.
YouTube, stickball. If you get a green screen, then you can free up that whole bottom left corner of your stream.
Yeah. Although if I had more room, I would maybe make myself bigger. I don't know. But I don't think that there's a better way to show the P&L than for me to just manually modify it. So I think that's the best way to do that. And then, I have to change it and I forget to change it. And I think that it's kind of funny how when you're not doing well, then all of a sudden you don't want to, you forget about it. But I don't intentionally do that. Well, now it's really going. Also, not so sure a green screen would be, I don't know. Wouldn't be that useful. I want to be able to show the background. I actually want to put stuff behind me. So one of the things I have on the roadmap is I would like to get, I'll put that there so I can cancel it if I want to. I want to get like an LED board.
Twitch, Dojo 2022, Marty Chavez, interview, extinction looms for traders who can't code.
Yeah, we already
YouTube,
read that one actually.
stickball. Don't even need a green screen, just get a brightly colored bed sheet and hang it up behind you. Any color will work with the software nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it's not that. It's more like the burden of having to set something up behind me and all of that. I just don't want, that's something that would be like a real obstacle in the room. And honestly, like, does it give you that much space? Nah. I mean, I don't think that it would be a big deal. And I would like to get a better camera that can, just have a different angle on me so that maybe I could be bigger or take up more of the frame or whatever and have the background be a little blurred. But then it's kind of, just kind of like have something with a bokeh. I actually have a good camera to do it with, but I don't, the I have a Canon T6, but the connection to the PC doesn't work. I think that's why the person sold it, and I don't find out until a month later or whatever. Now, but I could still do the HDMI out if I was willing to buy $100 capture card. So then I could actually use the same camera that I record the big videos with, right? But it's kind of all like, yeah, there's always tiny little improvements that you can make. How much worth are they? Well, to me, at the moment, it's not worth $100. So I liked the way that I had it set up before, and I just wish that the browser
YouTube,
source
stickball.
worked.
Yeah, it would create room for a Bitcoin chart. I will tell you to move your head when it's blocking the chart.
Well, I wish that I had room. I suppose I could rearrange things a little bit here, but because this chart doesn't necessarily need to take up that much space, but I just like keeping it equal and organized like that. But I don't know, because some of you guys did find the Bitcoin chart really useful, huh? I mean, a lot of people that first started watching it was because of Bitcoin and this. But I always make sure I show it at least once. I should probably at the beginning of the stream put it in there. Or maybe I should start taking pictures of it and putting it in the Patreon. That's what I think I'll do. That's what I'll do. I'll start taking pictures of it and putting it
YouTube,
in the Patreon for
stickball.
you.
What's the indicator on the Bitcoin chart?
That's cumulative delta. So it shows you the cumulative delta on the futures. You can see if they're buying it or selling it. So you can see the guys on the futures have been buying it the whole time.
YouTube, stickball. I trade BitMEX XBT USD solely.
That's interesting. So this area in the 10-year is really odd. That bunch of orders at 20 has been there for a while. This one in 19 has just been there, has kind of shown up and is trying to push them up. Normally, this past week, an order like that has pushed us pretty effectively, but it's been a while, hasn't it?
YouTube, stickball. Check out the bookmap, Advanced CVD. It's amazing.
Advanced CVD, what is that? Somebody was telling me that there was something about the way that Bookmap showed things compared to the way that Jigsaw showed things that made a particular style of trading a lot more effective. But they didn't. Go into it deeper than that. Let's Bookmap. Advanced CVD. Advanced cumulative delta?
YouTube, Ace Trades. Why would anyone want a Bitcoin chart? Does anyone take that serious anymore?
I think we need to try and get a fill at 19.5 because I don't know how much longer they're going to be here and what they're going to do. And we got, I mean, we got what we wanted. $300 more, come on. $400 more, really. It's doing it in the 5-year as well. I don't know. I mean, like we posted on the Patreon, and we still have a good number of Patreon supporters that watch those charts. So, personally, am not too positive on the Bitcoin market right now, though. It just does not look healthy.
YouTube, stickball, there is no reason for me to trade anything other than Bitcoin at the moment, because my edge is definitely bigger.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. We have some people that have been coming in and saying that they've been following traders that had inside info on the exchange, and I'm like, like it just looks to me like, you know, they have complete control.
YouTube
And this
ace
one could
trades
be
at
close.
stickball. Oh, well, if it's working for you, then perhaps you could call out your trades before they happen. Make us all rich.
Well,
YouTube, stickball. Once the traders in this market start to get smarten up, then I will consider moving.
so that one they came out in the. Anyways, I got distracted. Well, let's read what advanced CVD is. Allows bookmap to track transactions and even performance from the perspective of various types of orders. This includes passive and aggressive orders, iceberg orders, stop orders, orders of particular sizes, etc., 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 etc. The indicator allows to configure a set of filters that determines transactions of which the above orders to be accounted in CVD computation. Okay. So they're saying that I could set it up and I could say, show me cumulative delta, but only show me the cumulative delta of iceberg orders. Yeah? I could totally write one in NinjaTrader that does that. Although detecting an iceberg in Ninja might be difficult. I don't exactly know how they do that.
YouTube, stickball. Yeah, but combine them.
Yeah, but combine them. Well, the thing that I'm showing shows is giving multiple things. So they're saying here when you look at the cumulative delta, okay, these ones must be all of the iceberg orders, and this one must be all of the market orders, or something like that. And so you could try and say different players tend to use different strategies, and so these are the positions of the different types of players. That would be a similar sort of thing to what I'm trying to do here. Although I have to say, with the having the multiple columns, it
YouTube,
doesn't.
stickball. No. YouTube, stickball. That is the standard CVD.
Hmm. Yeah, generalization becomes possible because each
YouTube,
transaction.
stickball. In that picture.
Right. Classification of orders. Passive, aggressive, stop orders, anything else. How do they determine that it's a stop order? Because it occurred as it ticked up? See, there's some definitions about detecting those that I would have to know. Does appear useful though. I mean, I would at least be something that I would want to look at.
YouTube, stickball. You can use open interest.
How would they determine open interest though? Like, you can only determine open interest from being the exchange. Wow, I got so lucky there.
YouTube, stickball. Provided by the exchange.
Oh, okay, sure. On a daily basis, that would be useful, yeah. I got really lucky there, right? We got at a 19.5.
YouTube, stickball. Then that is a stop. YouTube, stickball. If open interest decreases or goes flat when a market order hits.
Oh. But does the exchange provide tick by tick open interest?
YouTube, stickball. Nope, in crypto it is live.
Oh, yes, in crypto, sure. Now, so here's the question. Are you able to use Bookmap on a crypto exchange? You have it set up for like that? That's impressive if that's what you got working. I still feel like the audio constrains me too much. I don't know, like I was normally pushing into the 5 to 0 dB range, but now it's very often keeping me below 10. Euro playing with 1.1.
YouTube, Stickball, they only do crypto in the bookmap free version.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, the thing that's interesting to the I have I'd be interested to know how you're actually trading it and how its performance has been over the past 2 years, because from my perspective, it's like these whales are going to come in and push it one direction, and there's no way you can
YouTube,
know.
Stickball, so of Korus.
Unless you have inside information, there's no way to know what it's going to do. New York Fed statement regarding repurchase operations. Let's read that. You need to fix this so that
YouTube, Stickball, here's what I do. YouTube, Ace Trades, not to distract from the big picture, but Seth, did you have any CQG issues with AMP? Something about updating the service?
I mean, I'm using Rhythmic, right? Let's wait for Stick to tell us what he does. Okay, the desk will offer 3 14-day term repo operations for an aggregate amount of at least 30 billion each, as indicated in the schedule below. The desk will also offer daily overnight repo operations for an aggregate amount of at least 75 billion each until Thursday, October 10th. Awarded amounts may be less than the amount offered depending on the total quantity of eligible position submission. Securities ineligible eligible as collateral include Treasury, agency debt, and agency mortgage-backed securities. Additional details about operations will be released
YouTube,
each
Ace
afternoon.
Trades, oh, never mind. Also, is it raining up there? We have had
It
hard rain
is.
for the last 2 hours.
It is raining up here. It's not raining super hard, but it has been raining all morning. Well, they come back at 18 and now they're having trouble at it. I think you could potentially take it long again, but it's probably not worth it. I mean, we got 93.70. So here's the thing where I don't update it, right? I got 93.75 in treasuries. Ta-da! I'm thinking another thought. I'm just kind of like all of the ideas flown out, seeing what you guys are thinking about it because you seem interested. I want to get a light board behind me. I want the light board to read the same thing as what shows down at the bottom of the screen, those news things. And I want to create some sort of a system wherein everybody could submit headlines. You know what I mean? I think that would be way cool, right? And then you could submit funny headlines and stuff. I think it would have to be like a separate system, though. It would have to be like a page where you'd be like, okay, here's the headline and submit it or something like that. Wouldn't be a complicated thing, but I would have to like host it somewhere and stuff. Well, I don't know. I think that there might be another move up before the European close, but
YouTube, Stickball. In the last trade I took, which was along at 10145, I was watching the order flow in Bookmap closely for a while when we were grinding down. At around 170 to 140-ish I started to see a lot of market shorting. YouTube, Stickball, hitting the market and being absorbed.
I got you. So you watch the order flow and you can see where the whales come in. I definitely see that where it's like these huge orders will come in and push it down, and then all of a sudden it's like it's getting absorbed, and then it turns around really quickly.
YouTube, Stickball, the shorts got squeezed the fuck out.
Totally. No, it appeared to me that from the information I was reading on Twitter that it was caused primarily by liquidation of some longs on BitMEX, and they caught a lot of people going short, and then they pushed it back up. But I don't think this can go on forever, and it's very telling that they continue to push back and forth across 10K instead of pushing back up. They're too high. In my opinion, they're too high. So, well, according to my valuation indicator, they're too high. Okay, well, they might come back to 60 and there's a big order down there. Maybe there's some news floating out there, but I think it's time for me to close up shop. I got a couple of different things I want to do today. So thank you guys for chatting. A couple of good ideas. I will see you on Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.